Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the October 4th BOCC meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing we have on our agenda are minutes. Gentlemen, do we have any other additions or corrections?
No.
Okay,
I move we approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, held on Tuesday, September 27, 2022, as presented.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, September 27th, 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, planning. Come on down. The first thing we have on our agenda is a public hearing. And for Mr. Mays,
Good morning.
good morning. You want to bring them down?
Sure. Both, just one? All right. Just you. Yeah, the first one is the two-lot moderate. No,
That's
the
the
other one.
second
There you go.
Okay. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination regarding a proposed two-lot moderate subdivision application and AR 3-9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 22931 Road P, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 10 acres more or less, located east of Highway 491, north of Road P, situated in Section 32, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, October 4th, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 13th day of September, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, give us an overview.
Sure. Mr. Mays and his family, they have 80 acres there along P and 491, and they are proposing to split off two 5-acre parcels for family members. Access comes off of Road P, and there's a existing house there on the east parcel. Is there a house on the west? Oh yeah, they've got the glamorous teepee there that's on the west parcel. I knew something was there, forgot what it was. Look at so many of these.
Okay,
So they're splitting off those two lots from, and then leaving the other 70 plus or minus acres in ag.
all right. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Mays?
No, that's just about it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Commissioners, do you have any questions prior?
No, I do not.
You said the east partial there, the first is where the house was?
Right, correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the west parcel has a teepee on there that they use for rental. may have noticed it from the highway there, up on the ridge.
I've actually never
Yeah.
noticed it.
That was my nephew's venture, I guess, so.
Yeah, it's all
that'll be turned
divided,
over to my sister, so.
it's divided up inside,
Hmm.
wood floor.
Floor, kitchen?
Yeah. Okay, well, then at this point in time, I will open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session for this application, and I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen.
I have no further questions.
I don't have any problem with it. I'm just glad they're going through the process rather than just
Yeah.
start building houses on it with their family. At least it's done correctly.
Okay,
I move we accept the proposed two-lot moderate subdivision application and AR 3 through 9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 22931 Road P, Dolores.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed two-lot moderate subdivision application and AR 3 through 9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 22931 Road P, Dolores, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I will close this public hearing.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
and we have to wait 3 minutes. Technical thing. So while we are waiting, Ian, do you want to do anything on your report?
Commissioners, I don't have it, I don't have anything to update this week in terms of a report.
Okay.
That was quick.
Travis, you want to get started on yours?
I would, but mine's gonna take a couple minutes, because I've
It's
got,
okay.
probably ought to wait for later on, because I've got the, check register and then a transfer order.
Okay. Okay. Kent, you want to go?
Sure. This last week, above taking some phone calls and meeting with some people out in the public, I went to the city council meeting. They approved some land use code regulation changes as regarding child care facilities and large home-based facilities. I also did some minor subdivision approvals, and it was going along rather nicely until we hit the ADU part of their deal, and that, they finally tabled that and gonna ask some more questions and bring it back up later. Also appointed Orly Lucero to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals, and Rachel Weaver and Darren Upton to the Historical Preservation Board. They bought some library HVAC equipment, and also put on a heating system out at the Four Corners Rifle and Pistol Club, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, things are coming along out there, I think, rather well. That's about the size of my report.
Okay. I will also comment on the ADU discussion. I was actually there with Commissioner Lindsay. And I think they truly are trying to work on trying to make something that's workable for most of the people in the community, because the way it stands right now, they gave a percentage of what was workable to be able to put an ADU anywhere on your property right now, and the percentage is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
To comply with it as far as the square footage of the ADU, the square footage of the lot, I mean, it's pretty tough. Very, very few people could even have the potential to do that right now. So they are trying to put some thought into that to where it can help people with with housing issues.
Good.
One of the real concerns that kind of piqued my interest was they're thinking that people might put an ADU somewhere on their property, a smaller one, and move into that and then rent out their bigger house.
Oh. Well, that you can't always
You
control.
can't-
but
you
we-
can't- Yeah.
We've had several discussions with them about looking at going in this direction. Just because that's the only way you're gonna come up with affordable housing
Right.
within those small city lots. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, if you don't have an extra place, then you don't have housing.
Right. Anyway, it was a
Some-
pretty interesting conversation.
It was.
Did they address all the existing ones that they probably don't officially know about?
No.
No. This
This
was
should be
just,
grandfathered in because a lot of them go way back.
yeah. This was more just how do they amend the land use code
To move
to
forward.
allow them to move things forward.
Well, I'm glad.
But there,
we're-
it was a pretty long conversation.
Good.
Anyway, okay, we have reached the time, so Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver,
Here.
Administrator Anderson,
Here.
Attorney McLaren,
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination regarding a proposed single-lot development application and AR 3-9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 23107 Road P, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 4 acres more or less, located east of Highway 491, north of Road P, situated in Section 32, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 13th day of September, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, overview on this one.
Yeah, so this property is just adjacent to the previous one, to the east. Again, it's a large ag property. They are looking at doing a single lot development there in the southwest corner of that property with, again, access would come off of Road P. 4 acres there for a family member. Pretty straightforward.
Okay. So there are 3 other lots that look like are out of that same parcel. Was that yours or previously or?
Yeah, at the very southeast corner is a single standalone lot that is not in a subdivision. The other 3 were done several years ago as a 3-lot moderate.
Okay. Commissioners, questions?
No, I know where this is at.
Well, I don't have any problem.
Okay, would you like to add anything, Mr. Mays?
No, same deal. It's for my daughter, for her to maybe build on at some point, so.
Okay. All right, well then, I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this, and I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen, questions, or what's your pleasure?
Go ahead, Gerald.
I don't have any problem with it. I move we approve this single lot development application in AR 3-9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 23107 Road P, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 4 acres. No
Second.
less.
Sorry, Gerald. Go ahead. Second.
Further discussion, only one question, Don, was, which we usually ask and we didn't, but P and Z's recommendation.
They were unanimous to
Okay.
recommend it for approval.
Okay. What's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed single lot development application and AR 339 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 23107 Road P, Dolores, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, 9:16, I'm way ahead of schedule.
Commissioner, I think mine could probably fit in here now, being that we got 4 minutes.
And you can go beyond it. We don't, as
Okay.
long as I go past the 9:20, I'm okay.
We're good, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to bring up the detailed payables for the month of August. So general fund was 1,094,864.15. Road and bridge was 439,404.11 cents. Public health was 197,516.84. Capital fund was 92,237.02. Administration was $204,815. Landfill was $84,594.61. Check register total was $2,113,431.73. Social service warrants was $1,881,714.42, with a total of $3,995,146.15.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay.
I move to approve these payables for the month of August 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2022 for Montezuma County expenditures.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payables for the month of August for Montezuma County in the amount of $3,995,146.15. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then the last item would be transfer order number 5-2022, transferring $520 from the Road and Bridge Fund 002 to the General Fund of 001 to correct a weed department deposit error.
Can you pull that up on the screen, Travis?
I think I got the number down.
I don't- So that it can be displayed.
It is not in the file, but I have the actual copy.
Move we approve transfer order number 5-2022 in the amount of $520 from the Road and Bridge Fund to the General Fund to correct a weed department deposit error.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept transfer order number 5, 2022, transfer $520 from the Road and Bridge Fund to the General Fund to correct the weed department deposit error. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oops, sorry. Wrong way. Okay. It depends on which one I look at. It's 9:20.
There you go.
Too many clocks.
Two different clocks going here.
Use that one over there. You're behind.
I'm way behind. Okay. We have another public hearing at 9:20. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhager.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination regarding a proposed single-lot development application and AR 3-9 rezoning submitted by Howard Terrell, agents Katie and Travis Ramos, on property located at 32471 Road M, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 49.90 acres, more or less, located west of Road 33, north of Road M, situated in Section 12, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, at 9:20 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 13th day of September 2022. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don,
Travis, you wanna come up?
give us a overview.
Mr. Ramos is here as the applicant on the Terrell property. Again, this is a single lot development. They are looking at splitting off 3 acres there at the end of Road M from the roughly 50-acre property. There's an existing house on the large parcel, and they are looking to build there on that 3-acre lot.
Okay. Question?
No, I see access. But that's-
Access is all off of M
Yeah.
Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, driveway will come off of Road M on the southwest
Okay.
section there of that new lot.
Planning's recommendation
They were unanimous to recommend for approval.
meets all the land use requirements? Okay. Commissioner Copenhaver?
I don't have any problem with it.
Okay. Well, would you like to add anything?
Nothing to add, just
Okay.
I'll entertain any questions.
Okay. Well, we have none at this time. So with that, I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board.
Mark Christensen, 16832 Highway 145. I'm not against this here, but I do have a few other comments. After being at a few of these meetings, county commissioners and planning and zoning, it seems to me that people come up here and ask questions, but nobody wants to answer the questions. Either you don't want to, you don't want it on record, or what, I don't know.
Mr. Christensen, how does this pertain to this particular public hearing right now?
Well, like last time I was here, there was a variance, and you won't allow the public to speak at that, so I don't know when else I can speak.
We have a public comment session.
And when is that?
It's coming up here pretty soon.
We can't speak now? I can't speak now?
Well,
This
we'd
is
like
to
to keep
this
this
application.
to this
So
application.
can I speak after this? Okay.
Okay. Seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session. And I will bring it back to the commissioners, gentlemen.
I have no further questions.
I don't have any problem with it. It's their property.
Okay?
I would so move we accept the proposed single lot development application and AR 3 through 9 rezoning submitted by Leonard and Janet Maez on property located at 23107 Road. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Howard.
Move down, move down.
Never mind, withdraw. Now I move to approve the proposed single lot development application of AR 3 through 9 rezoning submitted by Howard Terrell, agents Katie and Travis Ramos on property located at 32471 Road M, Mancus, consisting 49.90 acres.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed single lot development application in AR 3 through 9 rezoning submitted by Howard Terrell, agents Katie and Travis Ramos on property located at 32471 Road M, Mancus, Colorado. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Sorry
Aye.
about that.
Okay, I will close this public hearing.
All right, very good.
Okay, you have one more for us, Don?
We do have one other item. It is an after-the-fact variance on the Arville Lamb property, and the agent is Robin Rice. Robin, yeah, can you come up, Robin?
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
So this was a boundary line adjustment that was done back in 2018. The problem was it was never brought before the county commissioners. The plat wasn't signed by the county commissioners. It was signed by all parties and recorded, but that doesn't make it official. As a boundary line adjustment, it's got to go through the process. The original Lamb property, could you scroll back up to the survey? There you go. So the official original Lamb property was 0.83 acres, created back in the late 60s. So at that point, it has been grandfathered in, was compliant. In 2018, that rectangle piece to the west there, to the left, somehow was part of that same parcel but not connected. So what they did was a boundary line adjustment to split that rectangle into two triangles and attach it to this 0.83 parcel, adding 4,700 square feet. So now it's 0.19 or 0.91 acres. But there is no approved variance to create a parcel under 3 acres. And once you change that existing 0.83 acre parcel that was grandfathered in, it now becomes non-compliant under the land use code. So the request now is an after-the-fact variance to accept that parcel not meeting the 3 acre minimum. And with the added triangle pieces, the 3 buildings on the north do not meet the setback requirements of the land use code.
And this is all in Pleasant View proper itself, basically,
Yes.
right in the little
Correct.
township?
Right. The triangle to the north is not. That comes off of the Palmer Maribel property. At the time, Palmer's owned it. Now their daughter owns it.
Just to clarify, are we talking this little corner right up here, the adjustment number 1? The one on
The north with the buildings.
because this one is Maribel's now. This little parcel here is Maribel's. And Lamb got from that point to this point to here, to here, to here, and then back over to there. So they switched it, Maribel's, because that building, their outbuilding was on Maribel's property or Palmer's when they did that switch. So actually, this little parcel here does not belong to Lamb's,
The triangle.
right? So I think the .83 is the accurate survey, I believe.
That's the original parcel, 0.83.
Is it?
That's the 1967 parcel.
So if you'll see at the bottom there, it says adjustment area 1, 4,400 square feet, Palmer to Lamb. That's part of the boundary line adjustment. And then at the top, adjustment area 2 is 3,100 square feet, Palmer to Lamb.
Oh, okay. Oh, I misread that because of that point there then. Okay.
So what you have here is something that was done outside of the course of how it should have happened. They're looking to sell the property, so they want to get it compliant.
So the triangle in area 1 is going to be included to the lambs
Correct?
of the 4,400 square feet, and then also the adjustment area number 2, which is not necessarily a triangle, but
Correct.
of the 3,100 square feet.
Correct.
Does that make sense to you guys?
It
There's a lot of
does.
lines here again.
It does.
And it all comes out of that triangle to the west that now is where the Pleasant View Fire Station sits.
And that new deed that he was discussing that was recorded and surveyed, that was Ernie Manus' survey that did that.
So they're just kind of swapping property, basically? Is that, I mean?
They did at
Right.
the time.
They were swapping square footage for square footage. The problem is they didn't go through the proper course.
I mean, this is certainly a unique situation in that we had a property that was grandfathered in that was outside the confines of the land use code. And so, I mean, really from the get-go, we had a property that was below the 3-acre minimum. And so, I mean, we're still basically staying within the confines. I mean, obviously, if you change up a grandfathered property, then it's non-compliant, as Don said. But I think, you know, if you guys do decide to grant this variance, this is a unique situation in that, you know, we had a property that was under 3 acres to begin with, and ultimately that's what we're left with.
So my question, and none of us here obviously were around in 2018 it just was never brought before the commission at that point in time? It was
No.
just signed and
It was just done off.
recorded and,
Yes.
how did that happen? How does that happen?
I don't know why it happened.
Well, I can tell you that there's still a lot of our residents out there that don't understand they can't do little things like this. I mean, they're still out there. The only reason they're getting caught right now is because, like, I'm very proactive with Don on sending almost all my listings to the county to say, is it compliant? And several times he's blessed me with several that I'm not in. Oh, sorry. But the, you know, they did go through a surveyor, and I would have thought it would have gotten recommended at that point, but based on what I'm understanding from the two parties, it wasn't recommended to go to the county. So, and then it was recorded, and I don't know where it goes. It comes to the county and they record it. I don't know if there's any policing on that once they see it. But
Well, if there was a signature block for the commissioners, then it wasn't
There
signed.
was
there
no-
wasn't.
For some reason, Ernie did not put a signature block on there for the commissioners,
Yeah.
and he did the whole survey and plat, and I don't know why it didn't go through the proper course. We didn't get that answer.
And so, Don, just so everybody's clear, that the variances that are being requested are for the variance to the minimum lot size. And then did you
Correct.
say there's also a setback variance?
Right, because now adding that property in adjustment area 2 on existing buildings, those do not meet the 30-foot setback with the new property line. They were grandfathered in being on the north parcel before, but now being on this parcel, they are not within the 30-foot setback.
There's a map on that too, that shows the setback.
Keep scrolling down, Travis. There's the set,
There.
oh, back up. That's the setback measurements. And the lean-to garage as well is built within the township right away, but I don't think anybody cares that it gets moved. obviously, somebody needs access, it's a public right-of-way, somebody needs to do utility work or whatever through there, that's gonna get torn out and not compensated for, but again, it's something that's existed there for decades.
And that fence line on the north is a brand-new fence line put in by fence doctors, I think is what their name was, for the fire department.
Travis, can you scroll back up to the survey at the top?
So this is all going to be one piece of property now, the triangle on the,
Correct.
I guess, west, and the
Correct.
triangle on the north. It's all
Yeah,
one,
if
in
you scroll-
trade for the rectangle.
If
That's
you look
not
at the color
tied.
picture below that, it depicts the whole thing put together.
Mm-hmm. So just the structures to the north are all that don't meet the requirement, but it looks like there's a,
And that's the lean-to outbuilding that's in the right-of-way. They almost got it completely in the right-of-way.
looks like it is
Missed by a
completely in the
corner.
right of way, other than one little
But the
bitty.
property owner to the east of that right-of-way has signed a non-opposition letter there. I mean, it doesn't affect them. Obviously, if you look, they've got a building in the right-of-way too, so I'm pretty sure that's probably why they're not opposed to anybody else's building being built there, but
Yeah, they only got half of that building in the right of way.
again, that only becomes an issue if and when somebody needs to do work in there and those structures are in the way and get torn out. But all these old town sites have this issue. If you go to Lebanon town site, it's a disaster, and Areola's a disaster with everybody just ignored all the platted roads and stuff for the most part. And everything just kind of gets built wherever. And several years ago, part of these, that right-of-way to the east got vacated as well as the alleyways. I don't know why this wasn't
So these are
addressed.
just sheds?
Correct. That's a big, like a hay barn there in the right of way. There's sheds there to the north. Robin could probably,
A very old hay barn with a one-car garage in it it's one-car garage with lean-tos and it's, gosh, it's probably was built in the 60s. There's of no value to it real estate-wise, so.
Okay, what about the sheds? Because
The sheds, that one shed is maybe a 5x7 and the other one might be a.
so it could be moved real easy?
I don't, and I didn't go look at that to see if they're on skids or not.
I just, here again, you know my thought on variances. I don't like variances, just for the simple fact that we erode the land use code all of the time by giving variances. So if this is a 5x7 shed, to be compliant, I think it would be easy enough to move that. If the shed next to it is the same way, why would we not just move those closer onto the, or down, I guess, to the south, to make them all compliant instead of giving a variance?
What does the setback need to be
30
feet
feet.
from the boundary line?
correct.
from the lot line.
So you're gonna have to move
Which
them
is-
about 35 or 25 feet.
Yeah, that is a lot for a small parcel.
Do they, I mean, that's a tiny shed, 5x7, and I'm not saying that it's probably packed, but
It's an empty shed, I just don't know if if it was just built on timbers or what it was, I don't have a clue.
Might be firewood.
yeah, it's hard to tell from the picture, but
Because I can't tell exactly where that other shed is, that's at 40 feet. It's right in,
so when you tell me the largest structure that we're worried about has no value to it at all, I'm sure has value to somebody, but the other two smaller sheds, why are we, I guess my question is, why are we giving a variance anyway? Make them become compliant, and then we don't have to do a variance.
You still need to do the boundary line?
The boundary line is one thing, but the variance is it's kind of all-inclusive the way we're looking at it, right?
Yeah, we're not even getting to the boundary line adjustment, because if nothing else is approved, then we're not doing the boundary line adjustment.
I don't know,
I know, there's a lot of these out there.
well, I know, but sooner or later,
Do you like variances 4 years after the fact that were done wrong?
I don't.
Does that help?
But here, that's the biggest
Yeah.
percentage of what we're doing is we're always trying to clean up something. So,
Well,
If we're
and a
gonna-
lot of that is twofold as to the blame,
it
the
is.
county as well as the residents.
I get
Because
it.
of communication and not, I mean, I don't know what, if you don't agree to this, what does that do to the property? I mean, does it, I guess if the house burns down, then it's just a dead piece of property, can't build on it, or?
Well, because it
I
would
don't know
still
what
be a
the-
non-conforming, non-complying piece of property. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna be able to do anything
Property
else
still
with it.
exists.
It still exists.
It still exists, but I don't think that you could get a permit to do anything. Could we put a new septic permit on it if it was non-compliant? Those kind of questions is what I would ask.
Because it's non-conforming and non-compliant. And if I speak out of turn
Mr.
here,
McLaren?
it would still be, there's a resident that exists there right now.
Right now.
So it could be replaced, but you know, you'd still want to meet the setbacks to today's standard. If it was to be, say it burned and it was fully a total loss.
I think there's all kinds of problems with having a non-compliant property. I mean, as we see when we go through these enforcement actions, I mean, at any time, you know, the county could bring an action to enforce the land use code, and right now, this is not compliant. I don't, yeah. Non-compliant properties are not a good thing. I mean, obviously.
Every one of those other lots that are next to that, you couldn't build on one of them. If you went by compliance with our land use code, you could not build on one of them, but we cannot. Those have to be honored, because that was a township that was created. So every one of those lots, if you actually went by the setbacks, they couldn't build on one of them. Lebanon was the same way.
Yep.
It was the same way.
Well, and I think ultimately, if you guys do decide to do a variance here, I mean, that's one of the things that distinguishes this from situations all around the county. This is a former township. The boundaries are tight. We were dealing with a property that was grandfathered in, and so they added a little bit. Now it's non-compliant with the land use code. But I mean, ultimately, these townships and a lot of these structures were built before the land use code. And so all that's triggering this variance is property owners trying to make a small adjustment to make things more livable for them. And so I think if you do the variance, this is not a typical situation. I think you can distinguish it in that way.
But this is not for the structure, the residential structure. This variance is basically to allow these two sheds. Is that
Well,
correct?
the main one is to let it be created, adjusted under 3 acres.
Correct.
Because
I understand
it was
that.
compliant, being added to and still being too small is the first issue, and then the structures is the second issue.
There's really two separate
There's
things.
nothing out there that's 3 acres, is there, in that township? I
Oh,
mean,
no,
No.
Probably
Oh, no.
not even close.
no.
They're all about half acre.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah, if that.
The fire department next to it might be.
The fire department's 5 acres that was a single lot development created for them.
This is a far different situation than if you're out in the county and we're breaking off a
Right.
0.9 acre piece of property off a larger piece. This is a pretty unique circumstance.
And planning doesn't have an issue with going from .83 to .91. It's under an acre no matter what. It's just the formality to get that approval and then what you want to do with the outbuildings.
What I would recommend is in considering this, that you guys consider it in two separate variance requests. I mean, you've got the first request to allow the piece of property that's under the 3 acres, and then the second request is the outbuildings with the setbacks.
And Robin, you said these were probably in the 1960s, roughly, you think,
Arvell bought it in
estimated?
67, and then that's when it all started, so. And the house was there when he bought it. And I think that the big outbuilding, I think, was there before he bought it, and then he added onto it maybe. But those sheds are since he bought it. I'm sure he put those on
Yeah,
there.
those are probably new, within the
So-
last decade,
No, I'd probably say 20
2
20
decades.
years, yeah, maybe 30. They're pretty old.
I think one last thing to consider is, I mean, what we're doing is we're giving a variance for a smaller piece of property. I mean, in some way, that influences the way that traditional setbacks can be honored. I mean, if you've got a very small piece of property, obviously, the setbacks are conceived of with the idea that you're gonna have a 3-acre lot to put stuff. If everything's smashed together, well, all of a sudden, it's very difficult to meet those setbacks. And so, I mean, in some sense, these variances do go together. I mean, if you guys grant the variance for the smaller lot size, well, I mean, in some way, it makes sense to grant the variance for the setbacks as well, just because ultimately with a lot this size, I mean, can you even really reasonably meet that 30-foot setback that was ultimately put in place with the idea that you were gonna have a 3-acre lot to build on?
All right.
I personally, I don't have any problem with it, because those buildings were built before we ever did the land use code, I can tell you that right now.
Well, the sheds probably weren't, but everything else probably was.
I bet those sheds were.
Prior to 72,
Okay, well, then
Yeah.
that would be,
I would bet they're
I know,
prior.
I know where she's talking about, those
Yeah.
sheds further, been there forever. So, you could try to move them, but you probably wouldn't get 25 feet with them, because they'd come apart, I'm
Apart.
afraid. They're not.
I think it'd bring those 2 outbuildings straight to the house, though. It'd bring them, and the septic is right behind the house.
okay.
Because to me, all of those parcels that are in there, if you're not gonna allow a variance for those parcels that was created by this type of deal, you couldn't build on any of those lots.
Yeah, there's none of it if they're that narrow.
You would take those
But
building
I
rights
think-
away from those
But they're
people that own those
pre-existing
lots.
lots. The land use code doesn't, it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot.
Well, they're grandfathered in. It's when you go to change them that you run into issues.
So you could
These
build
issues
on it
weren't
right
brought
now.
up apparently 4 years ago. Or then it could have been addressed and probably not happened, or been documented and gone through the proper channels, I don't know. But it's just like some of the Stapleton subdivision, the Fork subdivision, those are all small lots. So what's existing is fine, it's what they wanna do to change them that can become an issue under the land use code. You can live with what's there, but when you go to try and change it, then you've got codes to follow. And if one of those burned down there on one of those town sites lots, you can build back, but you can't change the footprint.
Mhm.
You can build back to where it's sat, and it's still okay, but you can't go ahead and add, 2 more rooms on it. Then it becomes non-compliant, because you've changed that footprint.
I move we approve this after-fact variance submitted by Arvel Lamb on property located at 15297 Road CC in Pleasant View, Colorado, consisting of .91 acres, and the setbacks for the outbuildings on the north side of the property.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the after-the-fact variance submitted by Arvel Lamb on property located at 15297 Road CC, Pleasant View, Colorado, consisting of 0.91 acres more or less located west of Highway 491, north of Road CC.
All in favor?
All in favor? Well, I was gonna make
Oh,
sure that
okay.
I got everything encompassed in that, Don.
I believe that covers it.
Okay.
And we'll include the map that shows those setback distances.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
there you go.
thank you.
If it'll help, I always send out a flyer after something sells. I'll be glad to put a little note in there to the owners around that area to check with your county before you change any boundaries. So just start educating them more. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna get into public comment. So just before we do this, I wanna bring up something, and we've done this in the past. Public comment is a time for the public to comment. It does not mean that this is an engagement, this is not a discussion, this is not a conversation. It is time for public comment. If you stick around to the end of the meeting, sometimes we do comment on public comments, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have to do research before we will comment on them. So, at this point in time, I'm going to open up the public comment session.
I guess you were done.
I guess we're done.
You're done. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their times to other. And with that, the public comment session is open.
Mark Christensen, 16832 Highway 145. After being a few meetings, I noticed that questions are not answered by you. Now you explained why, so. One concern I had the last time I was here, there was a variance which was approved, which the public never got the comment on, and it was stated that planning and zoning had dropped the ball on it. A brand-new house built 15 feet from the boundary. Who says they couldn't move it 30 feet? Cost, but it still would have been possible, I'm sure, but you approved it. Planning and zoning meetings, are they recorded? Or not? If not, why? What are the inspection requirements for manufactured homes? Is it electrical inspection required? I know sewer is by the county, but is the electrical required by the county for manufactured or modular homes? I see that the Ironwood Mill is moving some wood chips now, so what is the status on that? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay, seeing no other public comment, I'll close the public comment section of this meeting, and we'll go into our discussion regarding our insurance options. Lynn, our HR director, and Mr. Jake, come on down.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
So yesterday, we went through a lot of the numbers. We went through the percentages, kind of why we were proposing what we proposed. So I guess today is kind of, I mean, obviously, it's what you guys discussed and what you think.
Well,
There's not much of an option to the option.
there really isn't an option. I mean, we're declined by 32 or 33 vendors out of the 35 to even give us a quote for health insurance. You know, we're kind of stuck. It's mandated that we have over 50 employees. Obviously, we have to have health insurance benefits for them. You know, I think we expressed this yesterday, or if not, I'll express it today, that, you know, it's basically a $300,000 increase to the county. We're going from 2.3 to $2.6 million. And I think, you know, again, I thank you for the 8.5% where you got it to from the original 17.9, which is huge because it, you know, would have even been more than that. But I think, you know, I thought a lot about this last night, and, you know, it's just, these are not gonna ever stop rising. I can't see it. I can't see it in the near future. But I think what, you know, it's still a 8.5% increase that we're having to pay on a minimum. And it's real money. Those are real benefits that are getting paid by the county for everybody out there. So I don't know. I realize that it's a good benefit, but it's just, gosh, at what point in time is there any I mean, these are huge increases, you know, and we're always looking for more revenue anyway, but, you know, a $300,000 hiccup this year, it could be another $300,000 next year. Obviously, we don't know that. Hopefully it's not, but I'll quit rambling.
No.
Sorry, Jake, I'm just
In this time of decreasing revenues, it becomes harder and harder to find those kind of dollars within our budgets. And sooner or later, there's gonna come an end. You know, we're gonna have to start making a cut here and there, and it won't be pretty. And
Well,
if you have any other options, you know, maybe we can discuss them throughout the year and figure out something.
So what we do with the insurance committee is we monitor 4 times a year. We come in, we look at the claims, we look at kind of where we're sitting that year, and we try to project based on that. Obviously, this year was a little bit different because we were projected pretty well, and then we just got hammered with claims, as you guys saw. You know, I'd love to tell you I've got more options. I mean, I went to 35 different carriers to have them look at it. We also had the CTSI pool look at it with the declination. So what I would say is, given our circumstances, I can say on camera here that we are coming out the best possible that we could. And as you know, I even went to kind of off-the-wall carriers just to have them take a look. And those off-the-wall carriers kind of saved us a little bit because they were willing to buy your business, which was able to help us finagle Cigna to get down from where they were to where they are today. So those carriers do help us because there's power in the bid. You know, we show one carrier a set of numbers. They start here, we dwindle them down to here. So I guess what I would say to that is, hey, look, I don't like increases either.
no, I get it.
Like we
None of
talked
us
about,
do. It's just,
there's no financial gain for me to give you guys an increase. I grow when you grow. So if there's more county employees, then Benefit Health Advisor gets a,
Sure.
small little bit.
Was the cost of claims, was that part of caregivers' price increases? I mean,
Explain, I'm sorry.
doctors are hit with inflation just like everybody else. Hospitals are. Did they increase prices to the point to where claims went up, or is it just the total number of claims?
It's total number of claims. Obviously, there's medical inflation, right? So
Right.
they project medical inflation at 15%. I say that's hogwash, but that's where they project it.
How do they project that at 15% where everybody else is not at 15%?
The baseline for your typical renewal last year was roughly 15%. Now, keep in mind, that's a huge pool of numbers. Some were 30, some were 5. So it's a baseline of 15%. So within that, yes, there is increasing cost because you have to buy that new MRI machine, right? You have to, there's medical advances that you have to make within a hospital. And we see that, and I'm not just speaking to Southwest, I'm speaking to the whole, we'll call it just
Right.
all of Colorado. So to that, yes, there is some medical inflation, but as we saw, our claims were, by the time we wrap it up by the end of the year, so this is where we stand now, our claims are gonna be roughly $400,000 than our premiums. So from a claim standpoint, I mean, we're looking at dollar amounts.
Right.
And quite frankly, we're under that dollar amount. Because what they're looking at is, hey, this is their claims this year. We're hoping that their claims are under, because let's be real. Insurance is a for-profit business. As much as we hate to say it, they are a for-profit business. They're allowed to make roughly 15%. That was one of the rules that came in with the Affordable Care Act, which is insurance companies are only allowed to make 15% on their whole block. So like we talked about with pools yesterday, where, Montezuma County is in a pool, it's the Cigna pool. So because of that, we were a little bit subsidized by maybe another group that did really well. So it's averaged out. And I think that's why, I shouldn't say I think, I know that's why we were given a pretty good percentage off. Plus, they didn't want to lose your business. Because it cost them money to lose you and then try to get you back another year. So they're at a loss position this year, which, hey, we paid our premiums. That's what it's all about. So they were asking for a major increase. We got them down to I wouldn't say minor, but a single-digit increase.
Do you know if other people in the pool experienced the same claim ratio as we did?
Well,
I mean, did they expand at the same rate, or we just happened to be one of those unlucky ones that just, our claims increased to a point?
So when you're over 100 employees, you are tied to your claims a little bit. You're
Right.
subsidized because you're in a pool, so you don't get full credibility, but what you do get is you are tied to your claims. So whether we're fully insured, which we're not, we're partially self-funded. We've been fully insured, but now we're partially self-funded. We have been for 7 of the 8 last years that I've been working for you guys. But within that, if you're fully insured, you're still tied to your claims there. If you're partially self-funded, you're tied to your claims there. So you do have a little bit of the pooling, I would say a good portion of the pooling, but you are tied to your claims, regardless of where you go. Thus why the county health pool said, that's just not a risk we're willing to take this year. And the 32 other carriers just looked at it and said, it's not a risk we're willing to take. Or we'd have to price this so high that it just doesn't make sense for the county.
Right. Which was the $3.3 million.
We had one
numbers
come in
that
at
we were looking at
3.3
yesterday.
and one at 3.6.
Okay. I mean, we can beat this to death
Yeah.
all we want, and it's not gonna change anything.
I'd love to give you a negative 2% again, like
No,
I did a couple of years ago.
I would
but
love that too, but,
it
you know,
just-
the
it's not in the
reality of
cards
it
this year.
is, it's just, We just have to figure out where that other $300,000 comes from.
Well, hopefully, as claims are, or as insurance is doing this, hopefully we're in a position like we were about 3 years ago, where we did have a surplus and we got money back from the insurance company. So that starts to offset our renewals to where we're starting to be more flat. Unfortunately, this was just a really heavy claims year. And, you know, for the employees that were able to, I shouldn't say take advantage of it, but were insured, it kept them from being bankrupt. I mean, we're talking, few claimants were
Sure.
close to a
No,
million. Yeah.
we understand that. It's,
But it's the cost,
We
I
get it.
understand. And like I said, I'd love to stand here and say, hey, 15% decrease. And you know, if there's a way, you know I'll find it. You know by now.
I understand. So, do we need to make this decision today, or does this go with our overall budget process as we approve this, or do you need something from us today, Jake?
Well,
Lynn?
it's preferable to get the ball rolling, so I could get Lynn going on open enrollment and things of that nature.
Because that starts in November?
It
or-
does. Plus, as we talked about it, quite frankly, it'd be good to lock it in
Okay.
sooner rather than later.
Okay. Questions? Any other questions?
No.
I know we beat this up yesterday for quite a while. Anything
I
else?
don't have any other questions about it.
Okay.
Move we accept Jake's option, what was it, B?
Plan B.
Plan B, I guess, for health insurance for Montezuma County.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to accept the insurance plan from Jake as we discussed yesterday in our options to the $2.6 million fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the record, who was the company? It was Cigna, right?
It is
Cigna, I'm
Cigna.
sorry.
Yeah, still Cigna.
Yep.
Cigna.
Also, to note, Benefit Health Advisor will pay for the COBRA again this year. So we did it for this short month, we're gonna do it for the full year.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So that was approved by my senior leadership team, so, so we are
Covered there.
covered there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right. Rob, you're next. Morning.
How are you? Okay, so start with our 30-day look ahead for work activities for the month of October. Basically, we're grading accesses and doing a lot of road shouldering in October. A lot of this will be part of the DOLA projects that we just completed out there at Yellow Jacket, kitchen driveways up to grade and putting radiuses in. And then it's cooling off this time of year now where we can get on that chip seal roads with that heavier equipment without tearing them up, so we can do some shouldering. So throughout the next 3 weeks, we'll be doing a lot of that. We're also blading roads with all this additional rain. That's helped a lot. So we're catching up on a lot of road blading. We've got some culverts that are going in the next couple of weeks in different locations, so that'll be a big activity. And then out at the roundup, we'll start our mowing this fall to get the shoulders mowed down where the weeds got away from the spray a little bit here and there. And some of it a lot, some of it a little bit, some of it none. So we just kind of skip around with all 3 tractors and catch it all the roads out there at the roundup. The Cortez district and the Dolores Mancus districts are all done and ready for winter, so that's where they'll be. And then late this month, we will prep Road S and 23 for that paving project. It's coming. We did get a email yesterday from Four Corners, and they're scheduled for the week of the 31st or November 1st to come do Road S. It's basically ready to go. We've got the gravel on it. We'll add a little bit more on that one corner, tighten it all down, about a day or two before they get there and let them have it. So that's where we're at with that. No word yet from Elam on the airport, but they are still planning on being here late October, early November to do the airport road. So later this month, we'll get down there and fix that right turn lane that we want to build at the access to Road G, get that ready for asphalt. So all that looks like we're a go. We're committed with Gonzalez and his crews with the guardrails on both locations, and are filing a claim on the wreck up on Road S that took out a third of the guardrail to help pay for that. So we're moving along with that. So we're looking good there. Any questions on work activities for October?
No.
Okay, since I don't have a lot to talk about anyway this month, I was wanting to do a little presentation, PowerPoint with you guys. This is kind of a long time coming project. This is our DOLA work that we've been doing since 2015. We started this down in Camel Canyon, and we did a 5-mile stretch of road where we rebuilt it. It doesn't show up on this map, but that was our introduction to DOLA. And then after that, we had 8 very successful years with DOLA to proceed with repairing damaged roads caused by the oil and gas industry in the Yellow Jacket, Goodman Point, and Pleasant View areas. So out of all that, in 8 years, there was 34 total miles that we did. And we wrapped it up this week with our work at Yellow Jacket. It used to say Yellow Jacket on the store, but now we just kind of know if you're a local, that's Yellow Jacket. So, so anyway, that's where we're coming in for a landing right there. And wrapping up that turn, we went ahead and did that little radius around there by the fire station there that ties back into Highway 491, and just completed that whole loop. And then while we were there, to make it easier for us. In 8 years, we put in 3,335 linear foot of culvert. That's almost 3/4 of a mile straight away, just culvert here, culvert there, and culvert here, and improved all the culverts on each project. DOLA, over that time period, donated to us $2,988,000 in cash to do this work. We provided $3.8 million in in-kind work, which was manpower, equipment, materials, things like that come out of our pits as an in-kind match, along with $726,000 in cash. So you can see the real benefit of going after these grants. $3 million cash paid for the oil, paid for the culverts, paid for the out-of-expense pocket distributor trucks, things like that. That's what that paid for. Then in kind, we were able to do what we do as a entity in the county, is maintenance, basically, alongside of it. So it was a very good relationship. So total cost of all the projects over the last 8 years is $7.5 million, 3 of which was given to us by DOLA. So that's how we got all that work done. And then I just want to thank Montezuma County for supporting us over 8 years. It wasn't easy at times. It was a long process. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fast. It had to be done in increments to make it work. And then we want to thank DOLA for their in participation in all this too. So just a little roundup, and that was kind of us finishing everything up the last day there. So there it is. 8 years done. Kind of happy about that one. So,
Looks good.
yeah.
A lot of projects have been done, you know, with that DOLA funding, that mineral extraction money that comes out of here. Obviously, just with the discussion that you guys all heard earlier, you know, we do have to work at these grants to try and get some of this stuff done, because we obviously, through our taxes, can't afford to do everything that we're doing. And one that we're working on right now is our Alkali Creek Bridge, which that's in preparation, and we'll be going to CCI with that one here
Yeah,
probably this month.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah, good.
Which is a big, substantial amount of money, just because of the inflation costs that we're incurring to try and get that bridge replaced. So anyway, Rob.
So
sorry, I
actually,
didn't mean
that was gonna bring that Alkali Bridge up. It is still active. We're actively pursuing additional grants to make up for that difference in inflation over the last couple of years in the pandemic and all the havoc that created. It did increase almost double what we had estimated 2 years ago. So we're obviously out reaching for more money, and hopefully we'll get it, and we'll still put this on the board late October, early November to bid out, is our hope, and start this project next year. So.
And we did have a meeting, Rob, myself, Nicole, our grant writer, Travis, last week, we kind of, and actually CDOT, the new person at CDOT and Robert Shanks, the guy that's going to be leaving CDOT, just to look over all the numbers, put together a new cost and draw sheet, and try and come within a cost that, you know, CDOT will sign off on, and so that we can actually get it presented to CCI as we go through this grant process. So, sounds like CDOT's on board now. We did massage it about $200,000. One of the biggest costs on there was our mobilization cost. And that's where a lot of that was able to come from. So, again, Rob, good job. I mean, to try and get some of this work done, there's just no way to do it if we don't use some of that mineral extraction money that's out there.
It's been a big shot in the arm to the road department to be able to do this. It wouldn't have been done if we hadn't had that help, so, just too much to do, so. And then last of all, I guess, just to kind of report, we are scheduled on the 19th of October and the 26th of October to have two separate ICS 100-700 training sessions. The third of the group out there has already went through these classes, so now we're gonna wrap it up with the rest of the employees. There's 25 employees that will split up into two separate dates and get that all wrapped up, so we'll be compliant with Jim and his needs for that, so just let you know.
All right,
So,
very good.
that's it. Any questions?
Well, I do have one question as it relates to a different item that we're gonna be discussing down the road, so, so we had a discussion yesterday, and I briefly talked to you about this, about the membership fee that Montezuma Water Company wants to charge us. And we basically had Ian yesterday, gave him direction to work with the attorney with Montezuma Water Company as far as trading that membership fee with road, basically fees that we charge them. Do you have any issues, problems with that? I mean,
It's not very much, but it takes away the tool that we have to keep them honest, which I explained that to you, so.
Yeah.
You're very aware of that.
so.
So you're giving that up, that you will lose that. So.
Correct, and I think that's what I'd like, you know, that discussion to be in place right now, so that, are we giving up, or do we just, I think you also said that we could just have them do a bond on the roads, and then would
Well,
that
we do
clean
that
that
on
up?
big
Is that
projects.
better, is that worse?
The big projects works very well to do bonds. That keeps it simple and keeps everything from being convoluted with different opinions. But the little stuff, it just works to keep you honest. If you wanna work in the road, you pay this much. If you don't work in the road, you get a break. If you take that away, they can be anywhere they want. So you're giving that away, yeah.
Right, and I
And
don't,
it's not the money. could
I
care less
understand
about the
that.
money, So,
it's about working with the road department, and what latitude do they have or do they
Right.
not have? So I guess just so that you're aware of that, Ian, I don't know if it's not something that we shouldn't get with the road department before we actually make that decision.
I would
Because it
advise-
really is
Yeah.
their,
There's gotta be a way
that's
to-
the
to
fees
word
that
it to keep
we're
it
being
honest.
asked to waive, are the road fees.
The way they keep their costs down is staying out of the prism of that road where it's detrimental not to be. That's how they keep their costs down. And we work real hard, and they do too, to do that. So you take that tool away, and now you just got them randomly running out there putting pipes down the middle of the road like they did in 1965, and then you got a problem again. So caution with this idea, because it's not the money, it's the freedom to just not be
Correct.
responsible, so.
Well, and so, I mean, ultimately, that's a decision this board has to make. I mean, we can, you know, I can get with the Montezuma County or Montezuma Water's attorney, and we can draft something up. But, I mean, in terms of that freedom, I mean, that's really something that you guys have to weigh, whether that's a decision you want to make or not. That's not necessarily a legal issue as much as it's a decision for this board. and for the
Yeah,
road
we
department.
went through the same conversation 8 years ago, and that's how we established these rates, to be fair with them and then with us, and it's worked very well. So I hate to see this go away.
Well, in all fairness to you, that's why I'm bringing it up.
I'm glad you did that.
Because, I mean, that's what's being presented to us.
It's a way for them to swap money, yeah, but it isn't a way to keep honesty in it all. Is if you don't have to worry about an accelerated rate or a fee, then why would you? Simple as that. And we designed it to be that way. It costs a lot of money to be in that road. You get away with this pretty irrelevant if you stay away from it.
It's just
And
evident.
sometimes you have to do it, and we understand that. We go bonds then, we do bonds. So they can do the work correctly and get it done in a reasonable amount of time without all these fees. So we work different directions to help them too, so.
Well, it's evident by your previous presentation, the money that's involved, the investment that we have in these roads.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's a good way of looking at it. So just to swap ideas or money is not the answer here. It's not the
Yeah,
problem here. So.
It's the tool of what
Yeah,
we
that's exactly
use
right.
with it.
Mhm.
Get it?
And
Got
is,
it.
maybe we should look for another tool of enforcement before we make this decision.
We should
Well,
study this, yes.
I don't know if we have to make that decision.
Today.
We could actually, we can use CTF funds and
Yeah.
pay the fee and just go on about our way too. We have options. But that's what the letter that they sent to us was, that's what was presented to us.
I know.
And we discussed that yesterday in our workshop,
Okay,
so. Okay,
good.
all right.
Okay, so yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Rob.
guys.
Okay, Noxious Swede, Bonnie.
Morning.
Good morning. Travis, can you shut that door, please?
I don't have a whole lot for you today. Next, let's go to the agenda. There's some budget amendments for this year's budget that I'm requesting. We'll go over those. And then I just want to kind of overview the grants and funding, and then some updates with our department. Next. So I'm requesting a 2022 budget amendment to my education line item 1222 by $5,400. We received $5,400 from the Lore Foundation to purchase these 2022 weed guides. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. We're completely out. Oh, is this one no bueno? Oh, this one's louder. Yeah, these booklets are great. We give them out to the landowners when we're doing property visits. We give them out to HOAs. We hand them out at the Ag Expo, so they're very popular. So that's what we're requesting, to increase that line item by $5,400 so I can spend that money. We've already received those Lore funds in there. And then next. The next one is we were awarded $5,000 through HPP Habitat Partnership Program through the Parks and Wildlife for a special cost share program. This cost share is for the treatment of Russian knapweed on properties that we've removed the non-native phreatophytes. So HPP is, they're matching 50% of the cost of a treatment. Through our general cost share program, we're matching 25%, and then the landowner is matching 25%. So we're taking $2,500 through our cost share funds, and we'll put it into that line item for this special project. We will be reimbursed the funds. So right now I'm just requesting to increase that line item by $7,500 to move forward with this project. And those are the only two. And I think in the past, I don't think you actually did a budget amendment. You just, I'm not sure the technical, what you guys did. just
I-
agreed to it or something.
I think that we,
Line item transfer probably.
yeah, we do have to do a line item.
Okay. So those are the
adjustment.
only two.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen?
No.
Okay. Travis, you'll have to get those ready for us before we can do any of those transfers.
Yeah, I'll get with Vader and get those.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. And as far as funding, we were awarded $62,000 through the U.S. Forest Service Disaster Relief Grant. The CDA, Colorado Department of Agriculture, is the one that's coordinating the funds. This is a reimbursement grant like the rest of ours. This will be used in this fiscal year as well as 2023. So we'll probably use about $20,000 this year to cover any other labor costs that aren't covered by other grants. So that's an awesome thing. I'm applying for the landscape scale restoration through the Forest Service. Nicole's helping me edit that grant proposal. That'll be for 2023. I've applied for the Colorado Water Plan grant. I think it was a 3-year project that I applied for. So we'll be notified in I think it's November actually. Notifications will be made in November. And then, like I told you guys previously, the San Juan Mountain Colorado Weed Management Association applied jointly for a grant through the America the Beautiful Challenge. It's coordinated through Patty York at the CDA. Notifications will be made in November or December. The funds that we applied for Montezuma County will go to the Phreatophyte Project to purchase more pre-emergent treatments for roadsides, and then some education funds. Next. We're having a 2022 applicator training next week, Thursday, Friday. This is to get continued education credits for those who have their applicator license. However, it's not exclusively for applicators. If landowners want to come learn about different categories, like if they have rangeland, if they want to learn about what best practices to use with managing noxious weeds on rangeland, they can feel free to come. It costs $75 per person. That way we cover expenses such as lunches. So let me know pretty soon if you're going to be able to come. I just need to get a head count to make sure we're under the capacity level that that building and the conference room at First National Bank will hold. Next. Yellow star thistle. So this is on our state A list, meaning that it is designated for eradication on all lands within Colorado. There are less than 10 known populations in Colorado. So we know it's coming here, but we got to be on the lookout all the time. It's taken over millions of acres in California. So this is a very problematic species, and we're very thankful that we caught it just at 2 plants off of the right-of-way. So definitely keep your eye out for this. There's a native that kind of resembles this. It's called buffalo burr. It has yellow flowers with some really nasty, pokey stems, as well as these little burrs. So yeah, so kudos to CDOT for taking the time to properly identify noxious weeds that are growing along their right-of-way. Next. So just some updates within our department, what we're doing. Donna's been putting down a Mazapic for downy brome, and has been putting some Duracor for thistle and knapweed. He's beginning right now to do bare ground treatments at the road yards and the gravel pits. He just started this week, but he'll continue doing that. And then I will be spraying the fairgrounds, landfill, sheriff's office area, and then probably skip the courthouse this fall and just do yearly treatments on that. So until we come up with a plan, unless you guys had an epiphany last night and you came up with a plan. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just, there might be some pre-emergent that will just cover for a year. I'll have to look into it. The Mazapic is a kind of a pre-emergent, but it does bad things to perennial grasses, so I don't want to use that at the courthouse. But I'll try to talk to my chemical rep and see if there's any other options that are short-term to use over there. That's kind of the plan for what we're doing. I think that's all I got today. If you guys have any questions. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, right now is a great time to start treating your Russian knapweed. If it's around trees, June is the best time, but if it's not around trees, use some milestone right now. It does great. The root system's actively sucking nutrients into it, which will pull that herbicide into it right now.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
Question?
Nope.
Cool beans. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, Mel. Make a decision today on our Turner. All right. So do you want to go over your recommendations?
Well, based on the bids that we got in, it's just too hard to pass that one up. That Backus machine has pretty good referrals on it, subject to competition. The price difference in the two machines is too much to ignore. So,
Okay. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed and a quick synopsis of this, a couple of weeks ago, we directed Mel to go back out to bid because the RFP of the machines that were brought forward didn't actually all meet the RFP. So we went back out and we did get new quotes back that do meet the RFP. And the Ecoverse BOCC A58 is the one that meets it and exceeds it, basically. And it's even at a more reduced cost of what we had originally estimated of around $460,000. This cost for this machine is $409,500.
correct.
And this machine is available on the East Coast. So is there anything else, Ian, that I need to bring forward before we move this?
No, I don't think so. Do we have the numbers that were submitted for the different machines?
Yeah, those other bids.
I had all those yesterday.
I can look it up. I think you sent that to us via email, didn't you?
I didn't bring them back again today. I had them all here yesterday. The Comtech was at 463,000. And the Scarab, I think, was 488.
Let me see if I can find it here. I know that they were all significantly higher than the
Oh, I
409.5.
do have them. So there's the Comtech machine and this is the Scarab machine.
Okay, so the Comtech machine came in at 463,215. And the Scarab machine came in at 488,500. So a significant savings, $53,000 basically, to go with the Bacchus.
Okay.
You bet.
I move we approve the purchase of the Bacchus A58 windrow turner for the landfill at $409,500.
Second.
Is the lowest bid.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to award the windrow turner, the Bacchus A58 from Ecoverse for the landfill in the amount of $409,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you need me to sign this one, Mel?
Yes, please. I'll forward that up to Ecoverse as soon as I get back to the office.
Can I get a copy too, please?
Absolutely. And I want to point out, gentlemen, the reason we got this grant was hard work that Bonnie put in writing the grant for us. She actually wrote that grant for us to get that. So I think she deserves a big kudos.
Who was that?
Bonnie Living.
Bonnie. Well, thank you, Bonnie. I don't see you in here, but thank you.
Yep, she did good. Basically, same old thing down at the landfill, we're packing trash. We are getting ready to start moving soil at Carver Field, I've contacted Trotner to see if they're interested in doing some of the quality of work on that. Sent him an email this morning on some of the requirements. He's supposed to get in touch with me this week, maybe come down and take a look. Got the trees moved, got some culverts put in. We're gonna be doing some road maintenance for the sheriff's department to the range. It keeps flooding out. We're gonna put in a culvert for them. Other than that, not a whole lot of change. The big issue we're gonna have, starting now is we can't get rid of cardboard. All the mills are full and they're not accepting any, and the price is fixing to fall drastically in that. So we're gonna have to start stockpiling our cardboard again, and paper. It's the name of the game. Nobody wants it right now.
So how much room do you have down there right now for it?
We can store inside about 4 semi-loads, and we already have 3.5 in there.
So you're full.
We're pretty full.
So we had talked one time, and I don't know if this is, but the carbon stock for the cardboard, can we still use that for the composting?
We
or-
can, and we need to run it through a shredder. And we do that when we have the shredder here, when we do the tires and the other stuff. We've shredded the cardboard before and done that. And it does work. But we get a lot more money for it if we can ship it out.
Get it to the mill.
Paper's a whole lot easier to compost, because a lot of that paper that we get
Sure.
is already shredded, and paper is just thinner and breaks down a whole lot faster. And especially with this turner, that'll help. If we can't get rid of the paper, we can definitely compost it easier. But that's where it's at in the recycling market.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else, unless you guys have some questions.
No. Looks like your numbers are all up.
It was a good month, not too many bills.
Yeah.
Still taking in tons of mattresses. It's been crazy.
We raise the price and get more mattresses.
Yeah. I think, Travis, if you can scroll to the top a little bit, keep going. Income, you'll see it right there about mid-screen.
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay. With-
It is what it is.
Yep. All right,
All right.
thanks, Mel. Appreciate it. Justin, Fairgrounds. I signed that and gave it to Kim.
Just send you an email for it.
If you want to scan it,
I don't care. That'll work. Thanks.
Okay, you want me to just run over my normal stuff before we get into that? You got it?
Did you send something else?
Yeah, it should have went to Vicky and then. There you go, that's the one. Okay. Our attendance to date, 57,550. Our revenue, 74,278.49. Then after what's been paid by CTF, the difference is 91,027.99 so far this year. We had several things go on this last month. There was a commodity giveaway on September 10th. Then our weed department did a tree giveaway that same day out there at the fairgrounds.
Wasn't Russian olives, was it?
You know, I didn't pay that close attention, but. No, I think they did some apple trees and some lotus or something like that is what they were called.
Tamarask.
Some natives.
Tamarask.
So, September 17th to 18th, we had a barrel race out there. And then the 21st to the 24th, for Pet's Sake, had their annual yard sale. The 26th, Jordan World Circus came out, did their circus, and it went pretty good. And Backcountry Expeditions had their training out there on the 27th, followed by this last weekend, the commodity giveaway was again. We're kind of getting into our slow time of year because we don't got much going in the outdoor arena once we start hitting October, but so far we got a couple sets of barrel races scheduled for this month, October 7th to the 9th, and then October 22nd to the 23rd. That's our normal stuff. Now if you want to kind of switch back, any questions on that?
No.
So I sent out, I think I sent this to everybody this morning. To kind of give you a copy of an updated price quote from Montezuma Water Company. The equipment costs and personnel costs that they put on there was accurate.
Stayed the same though.
Yes, the only thing that wasn't accurate was the footage of the linear footage of the pipes. So when they revised that and looked it over, this is what they came back to me. It's a total of $138,171.50. And then if we were to take out the membership fee and pay it with other funds, if that's possible, it would be $53,171.50.
So the original quote they sent us was an error, because that was the first thing I caught. I'm like, how do you go from 750 feet from 2,000 feet and the equipment, the labor costs stay the same?
Yes, I know. And from what I gathered, or the explanation I got was this was a different person doing the quote. But when they looked at those hours on the personnel and the equipment, that was correct as far as going off of kind of the linear footage that it was supposed to be. So I don't know if they just kind of had a brain fart, I guess, when they put the 2,000 in on that one line item, and that's what it came out to, or what?
Man, that's tough. In the contracting world, you don't get away with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody gets to eat that. A little bit crazy to me, but I mean, that was the first thing that, when you sent that to us this morning, I'm like, how can that be?
And that's what I caught when it was sent to me, so I questioned them on it, and that's kind of what they gave me as far as an answer. And then obviously the membership
So
fees.
basically, we have two different things that we're discussing that we discussed yesterday. One is the suppression system by itself. So were you able to get with Cooper?
So I did get
on
with
the
Cooper.
meter
And he said, although can we put a meter inside the building? Theoretically, yes. He'd have to do a lot of research on that and kind of get back with me, because that's something that's never been done. And he's like, he thinks it would be possible. The problem is, if we do look at that scenario, then they have to change all their hydraulic flows that they've already come up with. He said if that meter is sitting right there inside that building, then that's going to change his whole hydraulic flow chart.
Okay.
Which is something that we probably don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to just. And the other thing is if the meter's on the inside of the building, then technically, usually Montezuma Water Company is responsible for all line up to your meter, and then we're anything from the meter behind. So Montezuma Water Company might not agree with something like that. But I didn't go to them with it yet.
So we have two different things, guys, that we need to decide on. I think one is the quote that we got from Cooper as far as the suppression system itself, basically from the ground up.
So Cooper, their bid, and I wrote that down, was $50,899.69. And I thought that was accepted back in January or something?
It was accepted.
Okay.
That was accepted. We just never really gave them the notice to proceed because we were trying to figure out the availability of water to actually supply the system.
Exactly.
So now that we know that we can supply the system, I think we should probably, that's been awarded, the funds were there, we should probably go ahead and get that done.
Okay.
And here again, now it's gonna be their scheduled time, which it could be.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure when I can get Cooper in there. I'm just gonna have to coordinate with them. Montezuma Water Company did say they could probably get in there pretty soon if we wanted to do that part of it, so.
Okay. All right, so that's been taken care of as far as the decision. We've already approved that. So I would say go ahead and get them scheduled.
Go ahead and do the NTP.
And we can get that done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give them the NTP and get it scheduled. And here again, now we may be waiting several months. But hopefully we can have it done before we have any of the big events coming up in March.
Correct.
Okay?
Hopefully we can get them in there.
Second decision we need to make is, how do we want to address Montezuma Water Company? The direction we gave Ian yesterday was to get with the attorney, but after talking to Robin Day, is that something that we really want to give up, or do we want to use CTF funds and just pay the membership fee? Because that's where it's going to have to come from.
You have any preference?
How much would it cost to put a tank out there?
The first estimate was 300, and
So, quite a bit more.
it was significant, and then not only that, it was the pumps from Empire Electric that had to be on the back side of the meter, because it was, I think when they presented it to us, over $600,000.
Yeah, I know, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, and I don't think I have their proposal on that. But it was a considerable amount just in the cost of a tank, and then we had to have a pump on there, and then obviously electric to run that pump. And then when we put electric to that pump, it's gonna have to be electric that doesn't get metered or nothing, it has to be direct power. So it was a significant cost.
Yeah, it was, from what I remember, it was a huge amount, just because of the way the pumps have to be ready to go all the time there. It's almost like a main distribution line to it.
I guess the only difference is if we did do something like a tank, then we could look at maybe doing the whole building in suppression instead of just that east side. I guess that's the only difference.
Correct, but here again, the east side is nothing but the arena. And the only
The
time
west
it's
side,
not
yes.
the arena is during I think the
events.
4 times a year, whether we have the ag show, the gun show, the home and garden show, I think you said 4, right?
Yeah, the fair.
And the
I mean,
fair.
yeah, so, and a lot of those don't have a whole lot going on inside the arena, you know. The shows, they got a lot set up. The gun show's our biggest
The
priority.
gun show's the biggest volume of fire
so-
loads.
As far as combustibles or things like that, yep.
So we really have those super great options. But we do have enough flow with this being redesigned now that then the building is actually,
Correct, we can make this work on that east side
On the
of
east
building,
side.
Yep.
So from a fire perspective, if just the east side's protected, I mean, could that other side go up? I don't know, I mean, I don't know much about
well, there's,
fires and how that would all happen.
there's nothing, so the combustibility from the arena over is extremely minimal. It's all a metal structure, it's on a dirt floor. So yeah, could something burn in there if they had the home and garden show and they had a tower reaching up to the top of the roof? Sure, I mean, fire can go up that. Is it, the probability of that is very minimal? Is it possible? Anything is possible, but.
I guess I'm thinking in terms of the gun show. I mean,
That's-
because they've got stuff loaded on that side and
That's why we said that the fire watch would have to be in place, and it sounds like they
Yes.
apparently do that anyway, with the gun show.
So, yeah, with
Because
the
they
gun
have
show,
a
they actually.
24-hour watch.
Yeah, they actually have people that stay inside that building all the time while there is property inside of that. So it's always being watched. So if something was to happen, we would have, 3 or 4 people probably in that building to take care of the situation. With,
Immediately.
fire extinguishers and things like that, so.
it's an interesting conundrum. I mean, there's, there are fairgrounds in this state with probably similar facilities that don't have a fire suppression system. And I mean, there are certain precautions that could be taken, at least from a liability standpoint, to help. I mean, certainly having fire exit, Justin and I have talked about some of those things. I mean, obviously, the fire suppression system is great, and, you know, in an ideal world, we'd have the whole building protected, and maybe this is the next best thing. There's a lot of...
I think one of the reasons too is because there's no heat out there in that arena. And this is now gonna be a wet system, it's not a dry system, so.
And that was the only way they could make these flow numbers work, is to go to a
Is
wet
to
system.
go
Yep.
to the wet system to cover just the area that's typically occupied. And that area is occupied through the winter also,
At
through the
times, yes.
archery, whoever other clubs use it. You know, the biggest issue is that it was put in when it was built and it was never supplied. But they didn't have any way to supply it because in the past, they only had a 2 or a 3-inch main line, which didn't have enough volume to do anything. That's the problem, and then that's what we're dealing with now, is because now we do have the volume, because of the new line that was put in there, I think they said 5 years ago?
Yeah, something. But it was a
Yeah,
6-inch
it's been
line
longer
put in
now.
there.
Maybe 10, I don't know,
It's probably been close to 10 years now.
So here again, now we're just dealing with another issue that. So, we've given the approval to go ahead with the suppression system so that it's dealt with under the area on the east side. It's just a matter of how do we wanna slice and dice this cost?
I think a lot of decisions that we make, I know we're in a conundrum here, but what's the cost and benefit based upon what Rob told us this morning, you know, the short-term cost versus the long-term benefits and vice versa of trading services or in-kind expenses and his concerns. That would just be food for thought.
So, I mean, at the meeting, you were there, Travis, you were there, Justin, I mean, I didn't give him any, idea that we would do that or not. I told him, you know, obviously we can't mix funds, we can't mix fairground funds with road funds, so on and so forth. And if Rob has a huge concern about it, then I struggle with that because of the work that we've done on these roads, that they could be in at any given time too. I still really struggle with the membership fee because it's a static line. It's not a line that produces any kind of,
Yeah, there's no
water for any kind of a metered use.
sustained flow.
It's purely a static line. And, I mean, we don't charge fees to fire hydrants, this is nothing more than a fire hydrant. But they kinda have us over a barrel here,
I'm leaning to paying it with a CTF fund,
so am I.
just keeping it clean. Gerald, your thoughts?
I don't know. It just seems like a lot to put that line in there and stuff.
The membership fee is what's the most costly.
Yeah.
When you take that out of the 138,
If you take that out, then you're left with 53,171. 50 cents.
which is really, if you divide that by 750, what was the number?
The 53,171.
$70 a foot.
$70 a foot.
But 20,000 of it is for vaults and meters. That's why I had the question the other day, is like, why are we having to do this? It's a suppression line, and I've never seen a meter on a suppression line in my life.
The other option we have is to table it and go back and have them do some additional clarification.
What other clarification are you gonna give us? I mean, you said they were adamant about the meter, the strainer, and the
Correct.
vault.
And from what I gather, they're not going to waive that meter. You know, just from the information I received, that's something that's gonna have to go in front of their board again, though, if we did try to do something, as well as that meter fee or membership fee, so. We're gonna have to, I know we're gonna have to buy a meter regardless if it's outside or inside. I guess the question would be the vault, $10,000 in the vault. You could save that if it was inside, but it sounds like we would be hurting ourselves worse trying to make it happen inside than outside, so.
What was Steve's reasoning behind it again? What was the?
For the vault and the meter and all that? So the meter is too big to put into a normal pit. He said that thing was too long and it had to be serviceable so they could get around it and service it if needed. So that was the reason for the vault and the size. And then obviously the strainer was part of the meter to protect that. The meter, they wanted on there just because they want to be able to watch water flows. Even if it's just a test, they want to make sure they see every drop of water leaving that system. So, and that's something they're just kind of adamant about.
Okay. Well, if you guys want, we can put this back on. I mean, we've given Cooper the go-ahead. It's just a matter of how do you want to look at the funding. So we can table this portion of it
Let's do that.
until next
And then
week.
obviously, if we do have Cooper come in and do the work, they can't test nothing until this is all done, so.
Right, but this is gonna be quick and easy in comparison to what he's gotta do
Correct.
in the structure. Okay. Think about it for a week and we'll bring it back next week. All right, Travis? Okay, anything else, Justin?
The other thing I wanted to discuss real quick was the outdoor restrooms that we got out there.
Mm-hmm.
I did have Context Architecture come out and do a site study on that. And, after she did her site study out there on that, it is plausible to go ahead and make up some plans that we could retrofit that to meet ADA and bring that an upgrade to those restrooms if we want to. If we want to do a set of engineered plans, then we'd be looking at around $1,800. And that would be something that would have to be paid out of CTF funds as well. And I don't know if that's something that would have to be voted on or if we can just go ahead on that. So, if we want to do it.
So I think after our conversation that was had, I think we do want to do it, $1,800 to actually get a set of drawings so that we can go out to bid. I think we have to have them. One, it has to meet ADA.
Yep.
And that was one of the biggest issues that they were having on that lower portion for the rodeo ground or for the rodeo arena, the lower one, and for the fair.
Correct.
And it will meet ADA, so that is well within Travis's
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted you to-
approval range, so, I mean, I think that we should go ahead with it, gentlemen.
Yeah. All right. We'll look into that then, and then after I get all that back, if we want to move forward with trying to do something, I'll let you know.
Okay,
All righty. That's all I got.
thanks. All right. Let's see. Jerry's here, so I'll move down the agenda so that she can get out of here. So we're gonna move to item number 3 under unfinished business. And this says a liquor license as it pertains to the Maverick Convenience Store?
Maverick, and also I got Log Cabin too.
Oh.
So liquor license renewal for Maverick Incorporated on 10223 US Highway 491 Cortez. And I got the letter from the sheriff's department saying that they have no violations with the Maverick this time.
So these are liquor license renewals? Which one did I give you, Log Cabin?
No, I have Maverick. I think she just handed us Maverick first, right?
Just Maverick first, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it first.
I move we accept the liquor license renewal for Maverick stores at 10223 US Highway 491 Cortez.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept their liquor license renewal application for Maverick Incorporated located at 10223 Highway 491 Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next.
I have a liquor license renewal for Log Cabin Liquor located at 41900 Highway 160 in Mancos, Colorado. I have the letter from the sheriff's department saying there's been no violations with Log Cabin Liquor.
Not any problem?
No.
Okay.
It's-
Okay. I move we approve this renewal of the Log Cabin liquor license at, what is their address?
41900.
They just have a box on it.
Down there about where your thumb is.
Oh, 41780 Highway 160, Mancos, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the retail liquor fermented malt beverage license renewal application for Log Cabin Liquors located at 41980 Highway 160, Mancos, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Jerry. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna jump right back up to the top, the decision regarding the Cortez Farmers Market. It was brought to us 3 weeks ago?
3-4 weeks ago,
About the
yeah.
expansion of the farmers market into the lot that, basically that the Historical Society is using, along with the street. So any other thoughts that you guys have had as far as whether we want to approve or deny this? Did you have any other question with staff as far as parking, Travis? I know that was one of our biggest concerns.
Yeah, so I talked to social services shortly thereafter the meeting, and they do utilize that so that farmers market can use the other portion. In addition, the museum's gonna be opening up here in October, so they're gonna need that parking spot or parking lot for their purposes. So it would be a hindrance for social services in the museum to
Okay.
expand that.
All right. Thoughts?
Well, I think we should limit them to what they have now, personally,
Okay.
because with the Historical Society coming on, that Saturday would probably be one of the biggest days they would have people there. So I don't think we can take that parking lot away from them once they've sold that building to them like that,
Okay.
in my mind.
So,
Ken?
kinda sounds like
I
we're.
agree. I mean, I talked to a couple of them, and they sure don't want to see any competition for their parking over there, so.
Okay, so do we need a formal, like Travis can deny that?
Yeah, I don't think we
Okay.
need anything
Yeah.
at this
All
point.
right.
It was just a request that was made.
Okay, we have a resolution for a continuation of our drought declaration. Travis, you want to pull that up? Basically, this declaration extends it from October to February, unless, at that point in time, we see that it needs to go any further. But this is just a continuation of the declaration that we already have in place.
And Commissioner, as I understand it, it's actually a order declaring a drought declaration because the prior one expired late last week.
Right,
And so-
this one starts today,
Yeah,
October 4th.
exactly.
Okay.
You okay?
Go ahead, yeah, you bet.
I move we approve resolution number 11-2022, an order declaring a disaster in and for Montezuma County, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 11-2022, an order declaring a disaster in and for Montezuma County. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, do we have a discussion or decision? Okay. Tom, come on up. First one in the room and the last one to leave.
Hey, here we go. Yeah, I was trying to get the waiver for using the annex building for the VFW post for a year. We usually meet on the first Thursday of each month. Usually we start setting up at 5. Tear down is until 9 o'clock. We have a meet and greet from 6 to 7. It's open to the public, that anybody can come and meet. And then we have our business meeting from 7 to 8, and then clean up from 8 to 9 and put the room back to the way it was. We'd like to also get it pre-set up to use it for the our annual stand down, which would be September 16th. The reason why we're asking this early is because I have to kind of start putting in notifications to the other government agencies that come down from Albuquerque, Grand Junction, Denver, Farmington for the vets. We don't make any money off of any of the projects that we do at the annex. Strictly a business meeting for the post, and the stand down is 100% free for all vets that come to it and their family members. We've been averaging about 175 vets that come to these stand downs. We're probably one of the few counties left in the state, Montezuma, La Plata, and a few up north that are still doing stand downs. Last year and this year, both the people that came down from the Denver area said our stand down is bigger than Colorado Springs and Pueblo combined. So the post is really stepping up. We've also gotten where instead of everybody wondering where the post is, they know that we're there through the VSO office, which makes it easier for everybody to find where we're at and have our meeting. We've gotten in 35 new members in the last 2 years, but unfortunately, I've lost that same many. What the post does, we also do color guard for graveside services, flag presentations, many other things to the public that we don't charge for. And what we do raise our money is off of our raffle tickets and off of our poppy disbursement when we do that. And that's basically what we're asking for. We do get a grant. In the last 5 years, our grant to help veterans started out at $7,000. Now it's up to $60,000. The last 3 years, we've spent probably $180,000 helping vets in our Montezuma County. We're averaging about 185 of those a year. Last year, we helped 3 of them get off the street, get into housing, and get jobs and on their own. So in one way, our little post is helping keep these guys out of jail and help them get started again and saving the county money that way.
Okay. Question,
No question.
Commissioner? Okay. So we have a request before us for the month of October through September.
Yes.
For the meeting dates and then for one stand down date of September 15th.
Yep, and one district meeting, which sometimes the district commander gives me a month notice, sometimes it gives me 2 weeks. And it's usually in August or September. And that one I have to kind of hustle through to get permission from you guys, but if I already have it, it would be just coordinating with the annex people to make sure that the time is open at that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Move we waive the fees for VFW Post 5231 for the use of the senior center as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to waive the fees for the VFW Post 5231 for their monthly meetings as described on the sheet presented, a stand down and a district meeting to be determined. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Kim, do you need this?
All right. Now we'll go back up to the decision regarding the planning and zoning, the land use priorities. We discussed this yesterday in our workshop. And to keep at least 3 on Ian's list, since he needs at least 3 all the time. We discussed that the priorities that were brought forward to us basically from planning, not necessarily planning and zoning, but planning, were 3 separate properties. One was out on County Road P, one was at
26.5.
26.5,
25.
and the other one was at 25. So those are our top 3 priorities right now that are out of compliance with the land use code. So those are the ones that our attorney will be going to address going forward as we get some of these others resolved. So I don't think we need to do anything there other than, I guess, make the formal motion to.
Gentlemen, I don't even know that we need a motion.
Okay.
I think I've got my direction, and so I'll move forward with our planning and zoning department and get it done.
All right, well, there you go. The next is our senior center fee structure. So, as we discussed yesterday in our workshop, it came up, we had the presentation that Jonathan Parker had sent forward to us. We did have Phaedra send us some new numbers, and do you want to have her come in, or can you extrapolate those for us and tell us kind of what they're?
So I asked her to do a 6-month average, and she was an overachiever and done an 8-month average. And it's roughly $29.65 per month in utility costs. And that includes City of Cortez, Atmos, electric and cleaning. So $29.65.19 is what she just sent.
So, and then that would be for 20 days a month on average? Is that for the whole month, 28 days?
Yeah, that's a monthly average
Okay.
for 8 months.
Okay. All right, so it was discussed yesterday, instead of having an hourly fee, that we just make it into 3 separate fees. A half-day fee, an all-day fee, and then IT, $80 per event. So if you needed the projector, the phone, anything that would require our IT department to get over there, that would be $80 per event. So what is in front of us today is what we had discussed yesterday. Again, the $125 for a half a day, $250 for a day, and the $80 per event for the IT for the annex over on Chestnut. Any further discussion that you guys want to?
No, I think we should change it to those rates.
Okay.
Make a motion.
I move that we increase the rates for using the county annex one, is it one? Is that down?
Yeah.
It's listed for the senior center. To $125 for a half a day, $250 for a full day, and $80 per event for the IT.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to set the fees for the annex number 1 at $125 per half day, $250 per day, and $80 per event for the IT department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. We will go down to our commissioners' report. I think, Kent, you were done?
I'm done.
All right, Commissioner Copenafer.
This past week, Mankus did not have a town hall meeting because they all went to the CML. But we are progressing. I guess I'd like to report a little bit on what they're doing up at Groundhog with our water project up there. We're building a capsule to put a guard gate out in front of the main gates so that we don't have to drain that reservoir anymore, hopefully. They are progressing on that. They're pouring the walls Friday. I was up there for a little while Friday, just preg checking some cows, and went over to the lake afterward, and they were progressing along. I think it took, 7 truckloads of concrete to pour what they were pouring there Friday. So that's quite a trip up there for concrete trucks. So it's progressing along. They'll have to pour the top on the capsule, and I'm not sure exactly when they're gonna do that, but it's progressing along, so we're gonna get it done this fall before the weather moves in, hopefully. Have it done.
Looking at those mountains, it kind of looks like the weather did move in.
I know.
There was white stuff all over up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, thank you, sir.
And that's all I had.
James just walked in the room, so we'll jump back up to James, and then I'll finish up, and we're gonna be right on time.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
So I want to let the commissioners know I've been pretty busy the last couple weeks here. I have attended the CFLRP collaboration meeting. One of the tasks that we had with this meeting was to modify our work plan and reporting so that we could submit that, and the submission date is today. That needs to be submitted to the federal agencies who oversee the CFLRP project. One of the things that we had to do within that work plan, so we requested $4 million and we received $3 million, so that we had to adjust quite a few numbers in there and try to scale back some of the projects to make it more appropriately fit the budget. The other thing is we've really kind of been battling on trying to make sure that all interests are really represented through that collaborative. We seem to have a couple of the science-based interests that are trying to sort of dominate the whole process. So that's been something that we really have to be aware of. Their LRP legislative language specifically also identifies economic interest and a variety of other things. And so we just want to make sure that one interest doesn't dominate the other through that whole process. So anyway, that's where we're at with the CFLRP, and the work plan has been revised and it has been submitted. Also attended the BLM Big Game Corridor meeting. Some of the questions that we've had, I think we may be getting possibly to an answer to. One of the questions was the split estate. So if minerals are leased on private land, and no extraction is occurring, then does all the big game corridor rules and regulations apply then? And I think the answer to that one is going to probably be no. It should only apply during the period where there's extraction actually taking place, which would be the federal nexus. Another question had to do with the timing of farming operations and whether any of the restrictions would impact farming operations. Again, unless there's an active extraction process in place, then probably no impact on the farming agriculture operations. And I guess that's pretty much those are pretty much the two main questions that we've had during that process. So we'll be looking forward to another meeting here within about the next 2 weeks. And then at that point, we'll advance this on out of the scoping process, and we'll be able to make regular comments on it when we have a decision that they've actually, well, not really a decision, but one of the alternatives that they've actually honed in on. I've also attended the Dwarf Collaborative meeting, and one of the things we're really focusing on through that is identifying other possibly landscape scale restoration type grants that we can get out there, particularly on federal lands, because the federal lands, they're really the low-hanging fruit. We got one landowner, one manager to deal with. But we're also really concerned about trying to get work done on private land where we can. Also would like to note that the WAP presentation yesterday was really a good presentation. Those guys are doing a good job out there really trying to interface with the private landowners, and that's much more difficult. Everybody is an individual manager and just sees things differently. But I think they've really nailed one thing down, and that is the defensible space. And from my perspective anyway, after working on this for 20 years, I think that is really where the name of the game is out there, because most people can do some work on their own. And for those that can't, then we have an organization like WAP that is out there doing that kind of outreach and trying to connect those people with resources that will help them accomplish what they need to accomplish. It gets more difficult once we start looking at larger acreages. And again, that's why, the federal side, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. When we're over on the private side and we have to do 300 acres or something, that's more difficult for a private landowner to typically be able to afford to tackle. So that's one of the ways that we can interface with some of these grants and hopefully have that, kind of a landscape scale type restoration activity that we can cobble together. But it's going to take some work to cobble it together. That's going to be the difficult part. And fortunately, we can work with folks like WAP to help facilitate that. And then, and of course, we'll be working through Natural Resources and then also through Dwarf and other collaboratives to do that outreach. So I have also completed the General Services Agreement and sent that to Ayers Consulting, and this is regarding the IHOP Strategic Housing grant. So we're looking to get a kickoff meeting scheduled. We were hoping for this Wednesday. That's not going to work for the Ayers team, so we're going to try for, again, Friday. If that doesn't work, then sometime next week we'll get something set up. But we should be able to get that General Services Agreement in place and have those guys on board to help us out with that here by the end of the week here. And then I also have been working up the RFP for the OREC grant that we've just landed. I should be able to have that RFP completed and hopefully have that all released by Friday. We should run that for at least 2 to 3 weeks and put it on a national database also. So we make sure we have adequate coverage out there for that. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to let the commissioners know is that tomorrow there will be having a meeting for the Rocky Mountain Restoration Initiative. That's going to start off over in Durango, and I'm probably not going to go to any of that, but they will be doing a couple of field trips here in Montezuma County, and they'll be visiting the Chicken Creek restoration site, and they will also be visiting up there at Summit Lake. And so if the commissioners have any interest in that, I'm going to go ahead and forward this invitation on to you. This just came in yesterday, so it's hot off the presses. But sounds like we may have some top-level brass down from Department of Natural Resources, and possibly even some staff from the governor's office. So anyway, it might be a good time to do some outreach and really kind of promote our, that type of work in our part of the world. So
When does that start?
That will start, 10:30 will be the Chicken Creek cross-boundary treatments field trip, and then from 2 to 2:30 at Summit Lake. And so again, I will send you the invitation. It's got all the maps and everything on how to get there and the itinerary and everything. So.
Okay.
And I will plan to attend both of those so that we'll make sure we have some coverage out there and we can promote our part of the world here.
I'll see what I can do to capture the 10:30 one, but my flight leaves at 3 o'clock, so.
Okay, yeah.
To get to my meetings in Denver for the rest of the week, so I probably won't make the Summit Lake one.
Okay, understand. Well, I'll be there to, kind of put forth a good word for Montezuma County anyway.
Okay, very good.
Okay, gentlemen, concludes my report.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, James. Okay, last week, as I already stated a little bit through the Road and Bridge Department, we met with CDOT, our engineer for the Alkali Creek Bridge, Bechtold Engineering, myself, Nicole Travis, to go over the numbers for the cost and draw sheet as we get ready to present it to CCI this month for the additional funding for the Alkali Creek Bridge. Had a housing, well, actually a Region 9 directors meeting that I missed. Couldn't get that one. I did go to the Housing Authority meeting Thursday evening, had a presentation on deed restrictions from Lisa Bloomquist. And the Housing Authority is then gonna have a retreat as far as how do we wanna progress on some of the land banking properties that we own as far as doing deed restrictions, whether we want to or not, for workforce housing. We discussed it yesterday, and we've made some decisions today as it refers to our insurance benefits. We had a couple presentations from Wildfire Adapted Partnership, Community Connections, both for funding requests. Discussed our suppression system at the fairgrounds, our landfill compost turner, our land use priority list, and our senior center fee structure, Annex 1. And then we also discussed a few changes to the noxious weed plan, which we were not in favor of yesterday, and we're gonna deal with those one-on-one individually instead of moving anything further forward. On Friday, I did have a CCI. It was called a WUI code deep dive. So the governor has tasked this board to put together a code for the state of Colorado, and we're pushing back on it because it doesn't necessarily, the western slope of Colorado is totally different than the eastern slope or the front range of Colorado, and one code is not gonna fit all. But they're really pushing this WUI code and as far as hardening structures. That's why when we had this wildfire adaptive presentation yesterday, the question that I asked is, are they involved in it at all? And what are we doing for mitigation measures instead of trying to enforce a WUI code? WUI stands for the Wildland Urban Interface. So more to follow on that, I'm sure. In our meeting Friday, that will probably also come up at CCI. And then I did want to address Mr. Christensen, which I know he's not here, but now this is our time to talk, who was in public comment today, and hopefully you're out there listening, or you can go back and you can review it. Planning and zoning does record their meetings, and they are live on YouTube just as we are. So those can be viewed and listened to, or you can go to the planning and zoning meeting and comment also. As far as the manufactured housing, is there a code for the electrical? There is a code in the state of Colorado, and Montezuma County follows it, that before Empire Electric hooks up anything, it has to be had an electrical inspection on it before Empire Electric will even give them power or service. So it doesn't matter if it's a stick-built home, a manufactured home, it doesn't matter, has to have an inspection on it prior. It also has to undergo a plumbing inspection. It also has to have a septic system inspection and a permit that is dealt by the county. As far as his comment, as far as Ironwood, our attorney presented last week. And if you want to go ahead and just give a quick synopsis on that, where we stand. Ian,
Yep, so a complaint against Ironwood has been filed by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and Montezuma County. That's been filed here in the Montezuma County District Court. That complaint is, as I reported last week, for violations of the Solid Waste Act of Colorado and for violations of the compliance order that Ironwood entered into with CDPHE. And so that litigation is pending and it will continue to move forward.
Okay, so the information is out there. Like I said, public comment is your turn to speak, ours to listen, but we do address comments later on in our meeting. And with that, gentlemen, we have come to the end of our meeting. We will be back at 1:30 as the Board of Health in this room. So with that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this October 4th BOCC meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.